Awesome, thank you. Cool. Okay, now for the yoga part. I've been looking forward to getting to this part of this morning. I've been thinking a lot lately about how we interact in like these boxes so much these days. I'm a teacher. I look at 22 kids in tiny 2x1 boxes all day. That like it's really freaking me out to see people with legs in front of me. Like you guys have bodies. But I've been thinking about how I feel so heady lately. Like everything just feels like you're thinking about it so much and we're trying to process so much, and that so much of our interaction is just here. So that this movement has really bubbled out of a need to embody the experiences that we're living through right now, to like bring that out of our heads and embody it a little bit more. So we're going to do some, maybe we'll call it more traditional yoga movement, and then some less traditional movement that's going to bring some awareness down into your feet and your legs and hopefully get us a little bit out of our heads. Cool? All right. Let's start in a seat. Awesome, just checking the chat there. Sweet. Let's start in a seat, and yeah, we'll move from Virasana, like seated on your shins, but if that's not super comfortable on your knees, you can be cross-legged however you'd like. And then land your hands palms down in your lap and press a little bit of weight down into your thighs. As you anchor down into your legs, take a big breath all the way down to your belly. Let it fill your belly, your ribs, your chest. Let it go out your mouth like a sigh. And take two like a big breath, like you could pour air down to your belly, and let it fill the container of your torso. Exhale. Take one more just like that, your own. And then allow breath to start to move in and out through your nose. Use this first couple rounds of breath as a way of combing through the fibers of your muscles. Like your breath could explore the intricacies of your lungs. Allow your breath to serve as a means of settling into the space, not just of your thinking mind, but you could breathe down to the tops of your shins or your seat, wherever you're touching the mat. Draw your hands to your heart. Take a breath that puffs your heart up to your thumbs and connects your thumbs back to your heart. Like you could anchor your thumbs in this place. Let your shoulders just drape down your back body. Like your shoulder blades were a little more subject to gravity. With an in-breath, offer this prayer shape of your hands forward. Spin your palms open, let your pinkies touch, almost like you could hold a serving platter on your hands. Trace the horizon with your palms open. Just reach your thumbs back as far as they'll go. Get really broad. Bring a little softness to your elbows. Keep moving your thumbs back. Like you could complete a full circle. Remarry your palms back behind you. Let your elbows point skyward. Hug your thumbs towards the nape of your neck. Send the breath like it could move from the creases of your hips all the way up the backs of your arms to your elbows. Let your exhale heavy your thumbs down and back. One more big breath in. Hands back to your heart. Just like that, with breath, inhale your fingers forward. Open your hands, palms skyward. Trace the horizon, let your thumbs reach back. Soften your elbows, keep reaching back. Hands marry behind your head. Elbows reach skyward, breath in. Hands to heart. Last time, reach your fingers forward. Open your palms, thumbs wide, trace the horizon. Elbows soft to keep reaching back. Hands meet overhead, elbows high. Back to heart. Take a big breath, heart to thumb. Thumb to heart. Take a couple of breaths here. Let your fingers reach forward to settle to a tabletop. Going to hands and knees. Settle your shoulders over your wrists, your hips over your knees. Draw your left toes back. Press back through your left heel, like you were trying to stamp your heel prints on the wall behind you. A couple times to shift front to back, like you could stand on your left tip toes and press back through your back heel. Roll to the inner arch of your left foot, kickstand your right toes behind you and peel your left hand towards the ceiling. Throughout this flow, you'll be facing the sides of your mat, the long edges of your mat. We'll call this the left side of your mat. Reach your left fingers overhead towards the front of the room you're in. And then point your left toes back and away from you, like you could get really long through your whole left side waist. Take a big breath in there. Look towards your right hand. Step your left hand down. Left foot forward. Let your hips heavy towards your left heel. Ease your heart forward as well. Even let your gaze shift forward and fill up with a breath from your right knee all the way to the crest of your chin. Let your exhale lengthen your left leg long-ish and fold. Here, I'd rather have you have a pretty generous bend in your left knee and see if you can move your outer left hip back in space. Curl your left toenails back to you. Take a breath, lift your heart, and fold. Once again, shift forward, soften your left knee. Reach your fingers forward and up to rise. See if you can create a little bit of magnetism from your left heel to your right knee. Like you could draw in to reach up a little taller. Land your hands back at your heart. Reach your fingers forward. Open your palms. Trace the horizon. That full big circle as you soften your elbows. Hands meet overhead, elbows high. This time, twist. Right elbow to your left knee. Let this be a fairly gentle twist, so no need to crank yourself into the depths of a twist. See if you can get really long from your right knee to the crown of your head. Big breath to your belly. Lean back from your left shoulder. Back to center, reach tall. Fingers back to the earth. Left knee back to your right tabletop. Find a cow pose. Let your belly heavy, lift your hips, lift your heart. And then imagine that in this cow pose, you had a rubber band that was connected at the front of your pubic bone all the way up to your chin, and you were trying to stretch the length of that rubber band a little bit bigger. Like you could breathe along the line of that band. Let your exhale round your spine to cat. That same line now traces your spine. Take one just like that. Cow pose, lift your hips, your heart. Cat pose, breathe out your mouth, go ha. One more, just like that. Cow. This time sit back, child's pose, hips towards your heels. Let the bones of your torso just heavy and land on your thighs. Keep your hips heavy to your heels. Roll yourself up to a seat like you could drag your fingerprints back towards your knees. And then all the way back by your feet. Lean into your fingerprints. Roll your heart open. Take a breath across your front body. Let it go. Imagine there were a little string connected to the middle of your heart, and that it could draw you up from that place back to a tabletop. In the interest of facing you, I'll keep flipping front to back of my mat. But for you, extend your right foot back. Find that initial press back, like you could push the bones of your right heel back in space. And then a few shifts front to back, rising high to the ball of your right foot, pressing back through your right heel. Roll to the inner arch of your right foot. Kickstand your left toes to the space behind you. Right hand lifts as you find modified side plank. Sweep your right fingers all the way towards the front of the room you're in. Point your right toes in the opposite direction and get really long. Fill that space with a big breath in. Anchor down with a breath out. Look towards your left hand. Set your right hand forward next to your left. Your right foot steps forward to find this low lunge. Soften your hips in the direction of your right heel. Broaden across your heart, even let your gaze draw forward. Take a breath in. Find half split, lengthen your right leg. Again, long or long-ish, especially if you're here at South Park Hall. It's a little chilly, so be gentle with your muscles as they start to open up. Let them warm up before you go to the depth of a stretch. Maybe soften your right knee a little. Wrap your outer right hip back in space and extend your heart towards your toenails. Take a breath, lift halfway. And fold. Re-soften your right knee to shift forward. Reach your fingers forward and then up. That same hug towards center. Your right heel draws back, your left knee hugs in, almost like you could be a tube of toothpaste with your torso, like you could hug in to draw up. Land your hands back at your heart. Reach your fingers forward. Open your palms, trace the horizon way back, like this circle could get a little bigger every time as you marry your hands behind your head, elbows high. Twist right. Let your left elbow land at your right side. Again, don't worry too much about going into the depths of this twist. See how long you can get from your left knee all the way up to your right ear. Take a breath along that line. Let your right shoulder find some of the space behind it. Back to center, reach tall. Hands back to the earth. Step your right knee next to your left, tabletop. Cow pose, breath in. Cat pose, breath out. Cow pose, lift your hips, your heart. Find child's pose, sit back. Take a big breath here to the back of your waist. And let it go. Heavy your shins, heavy your hips, roll up to a seat. Drag your fingers back towards your knees, your ankles, your toes. Lean back, lift your heart. Let it go. From that very center point of your heart, lead forward to find a tabletop. This time, find a cow pose, and then tuck your toes. Lift your knees just an inch off your mat and really press down into your palms to start to press your hips back towards your heels. And then maybe lengthening your legs towards the downward facing dog. For all of these shapes, you can move through them from a tabletop instead of a down dog. Energetically, we'll end up in the same place. If you're in a downward facing dog, pedal out your feet. So bend one knee and then the other, anchoring down through your heels. Lift up high to the balls of your feet. See how high you can get your butt in the air. Even bend your knees a little. Tuck your chin, look back towards your belly button. And think of a cat spine as you shift forward towards high plank, the top of a push-up. Big breath in. Drop your knees, tabletop. Cow pose, lift your hips, your heart. Cat pose, round your spine. Cow, breath in. Child's pose, hips to heels. Roll yourself up to a seat. Drag your fingerprints back to your toes. Lean back, lift your heart. Let it go. Move from the middle of your heart forward to tabletop. Tuck your toes. Downward facing dog. Take a big breath in. A big breath out. And just like that again, think cat spine as you roll forward. Find the top of a push-up, high plank. Exhale, knees down, tabletop. Cow pose, lift your hips, your heart. Cat pose. Cow, breath in. Child's pose, sit back. Roll to a seat, fingerprints back by your heels, lift your heart. Let it go. From your heart, shift forward to tabletop and downward facing dog. Big breath in. Big breath out. Lift high to the balls of both feet. This time let your heels shift over to the right. Stand high on the ball of your left foot like you were trying to stick your left hip or your left butt a little higher in the air than your right. Get really long from your left pinky finger up to the crease of your left hip. And that same cat spine, roll forward, high plank the top of a push-up. Exhale, switch sides, heels go left. Stick your right butt cheek way up in the air. Lift your right heel off your mat and breathe from your right pinky to your right hip. Just like that, cat spine through center. Exhale, heels right. This time, pause here. And two options to move through a side plank. Shift your weight over your right wrist, left hand high. If you'd like the variation we took before of your right knee down for that modified side plank, that's always an option. Yeah. Reach your left fingers overhead towards the front of your mat. Take a big breath from your left toes to your left fingernails. As you exhale, look down at your right hand. Step your left hand to the front of your mat, your left foot to the front of your mat. We'll meet in a lunge. This time, pick your right knee up off your mat. But that same action of easing your heart forward, broaden across your collarbones, we'll call this our cow lunge. Take a breath here. Cat lunge, lengthen your left leg long or long-ish to fold. Same thing, your left knee can be soft. Ease your outer left hip back in space. Take a breath, lift your heart, and fold in. Re-soften your left knee, reach forward and up to come all the way up, high crescent lunge. If this feels super wobbly, you can take your feet a little further apart, closer to the outer edges of your mat. If you feel this in your low back, you can soften your right knee. Take a big breath and reach all the way up to your fingerprints. Exhale, land your hands at your heart. This much you know, fingers reach forward. Open your palms, trace your thumbs way back and wide, elbows soft to marry your hands behind you. Punch your elbows towards the ceiling with a breath and twist left. You draw right elbow to left knee. Press your right heel back a little bit. See if you can draw the tips of your ears forward a little bit. Find breath big to your belly. Maybe your left rib cage rolls back. Back through center, reach tall. Exhale, hands frame your left foot. Step all the way back, downward facing dog. Let your knees be soft. So your inhale can draw you forward. Cat your spine to high plank. Exhale, knees down, tabletop. Breath in, cow pose. Lift your heart. Cat pose, round your spine. Cow pose, in breath. Hips towards your heels. Roll up to a seat. Lean back into your fingerprints. Lift your heart. Exhale, ha. Move from the very middle of your chest forward to tabletop. Tuck your toes. Downward facing dog. Big breath in. Big breath out. Breath through your nose and out your nose. Inhale, high to the balls of your feet. This time to start, drop your heels to the left. Stand high on the ball of your right foot and press down a lot through your right hand. Drink a breath all the way up to the crease of your right hip. Next, inhale, cat your spine, shift forward, high plank. Exhale, heels right, stick your left butt way up. Back through center, high plank. Heels left, right butt reaches tall and pause. Again, two options from here. One is to shift your weight over your left arm for a full side plank. If the option of your left knee down feels more supported and more grounded, feel free. We're all headed the same direction. Sweep your right arm over your ear, reach to the front of the room. Take a big breath in. Right hand touches down at the front of your mat. Let your right foot follow. Ease your heart forward. Cow lunge, breath in. Cat lunge, breath out, fold in. Soften your right knee. Shift forward, reach forward to reach all the way up, high crescent lunge. And that same magnetism that you took in your low lunge of your back knee to your front heel, see if you could create it here from your back foot to your front foot. Like you could feel everything kind of scoop up and in. Maybe you reach a little taller. Keep the length, land your hands at your heart. Offer your hands forward. Palms open wide. Trace the horizon as your elbows bend. Marry your hands. Breathe up to your elbows. Exhale, twist right. Land your left elbow at your right knee. Draw energy all the way back through your left heel and then up through your right ear. Like you could get really long along that whole line. Take a breath to the very middle point of it, like you could fill your belly with your breath. Exhale here. Back to center, reach tall. Hands frame your right foot. Step back, downward facing dog. Cat your spine to roll forward, find high plank. Exhale, tabletop, knees down. Cow pose, breath in. Cat pose, breath out. Cow pose, inhale. Child's pose, sit hips to heels. Roll up to a seat. Fingerprints back by your heels. Lean back, lift your heart. Exhale, ha. Guide your heart forward. Tabletop. Downward facing dog. Take a big breath here. Let it go out your mouth as a big sigh. And the breath through your nose. And out your nose. Let the add on. Inhale high to the balls of your feet. First time, let your heels drop to the right. Stick your left butt cheek way up. Inhale, roll forward through the top of a push-up. Exhale, heels left. Right hip goes high. One just like that. Roll through high plank. Heels right. Left hip high and tall. Your choice through side plank or modified side plank. Right knee down or lifted. Take a breath, reach. Left hand over your ear. Left hand and left foot step to the front of your mat. Cow lunge, heart forward. Cat lunge, hips back. Soften your left knee, high lunge, reach tall. Exhale, hands to your heart. Offer your fingers forward. That big sweep of your arms out, back and around. Elbows reach high. Twist left. Right elbow towards your left knee. Just a full breath here. Get really long with your inhale. Soften in with your exhale. Come back through center. High lunge to reach tall. And then like you're holding a big beach ball, offer it forward. Look towards the space between your hands. And then step your right foot forward to a chair pose. As you find this chair pose, imagine that you could spread out the skin at the bottom of your feet. Like you could actually take up more space underneath each foot. And find a little bounce in your legs. Like really anchor down through your feet. Kind of find some sensation in your legs. With your next inhale as it comes, stand onto your right foot, draw your left knee up and into your chest. And then exhale back to chair, find a bounce. Inhale, right knee up and in. Just like that, back to a chair. Like that again, left knee, bounce. Right knee, and bounce. Meet with your left knee drawn up and in and pause. See if you can move the bone, this big femur bone of your left thigh a little bit closer towards your belly. Spread out your whole left foot like you were stepping up onto a table. Take a breath, stand a little taller, and then begin to hug your left heel towards your left butt cheek. Drop your left knee. Keep hugging your heel to your butt as you soften your right knee. Heart leans forward as you kick your left foot towards the ceiling. Like if you'd stepped in wet paint, you could stamp your footprint on the sky. Take a big breath here. And slowly step back. Rather than this long back leg lunge we've taken before, soften your back knee so that if you could look at your two legs, they were kind of in the same shape. And then come back to that bounce. Doesn't have to be big, just kind of settle. As an inhale comes, step forward, left knee into your chest. Yeah, and then back to your lunge. A couple like that. Inhale, left knee draws up and in. Exhale, step back. One more. Pause here in this lunge. We're going to move to a goddess pose. So facing the long edge of your mat, just spin your left toes out, your left heel in. Land your hands onto your thighs. Sorry, Nadia's facing away from me. Land your hands onto your thighs and really press your hands down into your thighs. Like you could almost press your footprints a little deeper into your mat by anchoring down into your thighs. Dip your left shoulder in, look to the right. Come back to center. Dip your right shoulder in, look to the left. And take one like that, your breath each side. As you come back to center, stand tall, reach tall. Turn your toes in, your heels wide to fold forward. You're welcome to bring some softness into your knees or walk your hands underneath your heart. If you want a little more depth, and spin your fingers to face the long edge of your mat behind you and walk them in that direction. And give your head a nod, yes. See if you can release any holding in the back of your neck. Maybe a really gentle shake, no. Imagine that the weight of your brain just anchor you down, like your brain could just heavy you to drape forward, pour forward over your legs. Walk your hands underneath your shoulders. Take a breath to lift up halfway. And find a quarter turn right to the front of your mat. Plant your palms, step back, downward facing dog. And inhale rolls you forward to the top of a push-up high plank. Knees down, tabletop. Cow pose, in breath. Cat pose, out breath. Cow, inhale. Child's pose. Roll up to a seat, fingerprints back by your heels. Lean back, lift your heart. Exhale, heart guides you forward. Find your tabletop and downward facing dog. Take a big breath through your nose. And then flutter your lips, go. It's kind of hard to do with a mask on, actually. I don't know if I've ever tried that with a mask before. If that flutter of your lips is tricky, you can separate your lower jaw from your upper jaw and just move it side to side, releasing any of that tension that we tend to carry in the jaw. Rise high to the balls of your feet. Take your heels to the left, right hip high. Through center, high plank, roll forward. Heels right, left hip high. Roll forward, high plank. Exhale, heels left, pause here, last time through. Your choice, full side plank or modified side plank. Weight, shift towards your left hand. Right hand high and over your ear. Take a breath along your whole right side. Right hand to the front of your mat, right foot to the front of your mat. Cow lunge, heart forward. Cat lunge, hips back. Shift forward, reach forward and up, high crescent lunge. Exhale, hands to heart. Offer your prayer, hands forward. Open your palms, sweep back. Out, hands Mary behind you, elbows high, breath in. Exhale, twist right. A big breath to bring length from your back heel to your right ear. Soften in with your exhale. And then back through center, unwind to reach tall. And reach forward. That sensation of holding like a big box, maybe a block or a beach ball. Look towards the space between your hands. And then step your left foot forward to a chair. Find a little bit of that bounce, like some buoyancy. You can get a little funky. And we'll just find that same movement with breath, starting with your right knee up and in. So on your next inhale, it's right knee in, back to a bounce. Left knee to follow, and bounce. One more each side. We'll meet back together with your right knee up and in. So next time you're on the right side, pause there. See if you can find that hugging in of your right thigh bone towards your chest. And then hug your right heel towards your right butt. Let your right knee point down and keep hugging heel to butt. Soften your left knee. Kick your right foot towards the ceiling as you lean forward. Again, that sensation of if you had stepped in mud or paint, you could stamp your footprint. Take a big breath in here and a slow step back. Nice. Especially gentle with your low back. Soften your right knee and find a little bit of that bounce again. Just adding on, we'll meet right knee up and into your chest and then back to a bounce lunge. Two like that, right knee in. Notice as you start to ground down, if you're building a little heat, maybe a lot of heat in your legs. Last time, sorry if I lost count, that might have been 4 instead of 3. Pause here. In the interest of facing you, we'll face this way. We'll move to goddess, facing the long edge of your mat. Just spin your right toes out, right heel in. And this time, like tap or hit the tops of your legs. Like actually use your hands to bring some sensation to the tops of your legs. Go a little faster. Go for 3. We'll meet in star pose, standing tall in 2 and 1, reach tall. And imagine that all of that sensation in your hands and the tops of your legs could just drip down. Turn your toes in, heels wide, a breath in to reach tall. And fold forward. Welcome to take some movement here if it feels good, bending into one knee and then the other. If it's stillness that calls, let your head hang really heavy. Imagine that if there were a hole in the top of your head, that any excess, anything that's maybe gotten stirred up that doesn't serve you could just drip down and out as you fold forward. Take a breath in, lift halfway. And a quarter turn to the front of your mat towards your left foot. Step back, downward facing dog. Ride an inhale forward to high plank, big breath. Knees down, tabletop. Cow pose, lift your hips, your heart. Cat pose, round your spine. Cow, breath in. Child's pose, hips to heels. Roll up to a seat. Fingers back by your feet. Lift your heart. Exhale. Lead from your heart to tabletop. Tuck your toes, down dog. Big breath in. Big breath out. Flip your left foot forward outside your left finger. And drop your right knee down. Keep your right hand as your base and sweep your left fingers forward and up. If this feels like a really good spacious twist, you might stay here. We've worked a lot into your quads, so you might bend your right knee. Reach your left hand back for your back foot. See if you can work your hands to the pinky toe side. If your hand doesn't quite reach your foot, no big deal. That active drawing in of your heel towards your butt will do the same thing. If you want a little more depth, your right forearm is there. Drop down 2. See if you can keep actively leaning your left ribs away from your left thigh. Yeah, take a big breath here. And let it go. If you're bound with your back foot, release it. Land your left hand back underneath your shoulder. Step back to a tabletop, left knee next to your right. Cow pose, lift your heart. Cat pose, round your spine. Cow. To child's pose. Roll to a seat. You might this time lean back into your fingerprints. If you feel a little more open, you might start to lift your hips. Your choice to let your head fall back or keep your chin neutral. Take a big breath along your front body. Anchor down to the tops of your feet. If your hips are lifted, let them land back at your heels. Let your heart guide you forward, tabletop. Last time, down dog. Big breath in. Big sigh. Step your right foot forward outside your right finger. Your right foot can kind of heel toe to the outer edge of your mat and then drop your left knee down. Keep your left hand as your base. Sweep your right fingers forward and up. This can feel just really spacious and pretty juicy after some of those deeper twists, so you might stay here. If you want to work into your left quad, begin to hug your left heel towards your left butt. Maybe your right hand reaches back for a bind. If that foot feels really far away, just actively hug your heel towards your glute. If you're seeking more depth, left forearm is a nice support. And wherever you are, just actively working your right thigh bone away from your right ribs. Imagine you could fill a balloon that we're sitting in that space between your belly and your thigh. Like you could actually breathe into it. And then lean back away from it. One just like that, breath in. Breath out. Release your right hand underneath your shoulder. Step back to a tabletop. Cow pose, inhale. Cat pose, round your spine. Cow pose, in breath. Sit hips to heels, child's pose. Roll up to a seat. Last time here, it might be leaning back into your fingers to broaden your chest. Maybe lifting your hips. If you want to come in to a more traditional camel, you might come up onto your shins. Then tuck your toes. And then rock your hands to your low back. See if you could find that tube of toothpaste feeling, like you could draw in to lift up. Then lean back, maybe your hands walk towards your heels. Again, your choice to keep your chin neutral. If it's okay on your neck, you might drop your head back to get really open from your knees to your nose. Take a big breath there. One more breath wherever you've landed. And then come out as you came in. So if you're in a camel, hands back to your hips to lift. Untuck your toes and just sit hips to heels. Once again, land your hands, palms down on your thighs, and just anchor down through the bones of your legs. A lot of times, a bigger back bend or heart opener like that can kind of bring you back into this head space. So see if here you can even root down through your toenails, shoelaces of your feet, your shins. Feel the weight of your hips on your heels and your breath in your belly. Let your hips sit off to one side and swing your feet around. Hang on to your shins to just gently roll down to your back and bring your knees with you. Hug your knees in towards your chest. And a little rock side to side. And as your spine begins to settle a bit here, find a happy baby. So hands either to your ankles, maybe your shins or the bottoms of your feet. And imagine that your feet could shine directly towards the ceiling. Spread out the soles of your feet. Even look towards your toes. Can you see some space between your toe tips? Let your tailbone anchor towards the front of your mat. Like your spine could iron out a little bit. Take a big breath to your belly. Let it empty. Draw your knees back in towards your chest. Give them a little squeeze. And open your arms up like a big letter T. Let your knees just drape over to the left. You might start with this knee stacking twist. If that feels pretty deep on your low back, you can extend your bottom leg, your left leg towards the front of your mat. If you'd like to go deeper, you can cross your right knee over your left. Yeah. See if you could use your breath to lengthen the line between your right hip and your right armpit. Like your right armpit could heavy down, and your right hip could roll away from your torso. Take a big breath to your belly. Let it go. Let your breath carry you back to center. Allowing your knees to stack once again over your hips, maybe a little rock side to side, and kind of know where we're headed. So let the movement of your knees and this rock along your spine eventually land you over to the right, but there might be some movements or fidgets that get you there. Check in with the depth of this twist on your low back. Maybe you lengthen your bottom leg. This time that'll be your right leg. If you want this a little deeper, you might cross your left leg over your right. See if you can breathe some space between your left armpit and your left hip. Take a big breath to your belly and let it go. Let an in-breath carry you back to center. Knees stacking once again over your hips. And this time extend your feet towards the ceiling. Your legs don't have to go all the way long. Spread out the bottoms of your feet like you could stand on the ceiling. Even spread out your toes. Reach your hands towards the ceiling too. Then find a little wiggle of your hands and your feet. Notice if there's that part of you that wants this to like look a certain way or to do it right. And see if you could let that go. Let it get a little crazy. Like wiggle your arms, wiggle your legs. Like you could shake something out. And go a little harder, a little faster for 3, for 2. And at 1, pause. Anything that arose to the surface, let it just drip down your arms and your legs. And then allow your arms and your legs to drip back down towards your torso. And eventually down to the floor to land in a final shape. Maybe that's a Shavasana-like shape, just arms long, legs long. If there's another orientation of your limbs that feels better, feel free to take it. Take a breath here to gather up any residue and cast it off on an exhale. And then allow your limbs to get really heavy. Allow your breath to settle like sediment in a creek bed that's been stirred up. Let all those pieces settle back to their place. And without the need to move or change anything, you just drink in a breath. Let it wash over you. And let it be that breath that can start to bring tiny little whispers of movement down across your fingers, down into your toes. Let that movement gently bubble up across your limbs to your wrists and your ankles. Allow some movement to start to ripple across your elbows and your knees. Eventually, some movement across your hips and your shoulders. Enough movement that in your time and your way, you can roll off to a side. And then eventually, your time, your way up to a seat. And it's here that we'll meet with your eyes either all the way closed or just a soft downward gaze and hands to heart center. And I wish for you as you move off your mat is that you can do so with this embodiment toolkit of bringing some of that heaviness of this last year down into the physicality of your body to process and move through and integrate. We'll seal this with the sound of one Om. Feel free to join in or just receive. Take a big breath in and just clear space, let it go. Inhale for Om. Breath in and breath out. The inhale draws thumbs to the third eye center, and bowing to the teacher in all of us, we say, Namaste. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I'm gonna try and switch up our audio here so that those of you who are, can you guys hear me? We're on Zoom still? I don't know if you can. Shauna or Robin, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Hoping you can. Maybe. Can you guys hear me? Robin or Shauna? I wanted to unmute just to share that we raised over $200 that'll go directly to Concord, which is awesome. So thank you all so much. One of the things that I've always really liked to do, I'm talking really loud, like my like awareness of my voice is really off. One of the things that I really like to do is offer a platform for you. If you have things that you're working on, classes that you're teaching, that you want to share about.
My name is Wendy, and I teach punk rock aerobics. Tuesday nights right here. Tuesday nights at 7 to 8 p.m. It's very adaptable, very low impact. All kinds of music, all kinds of people, the spirit of rebelliousness and fun and awkwardness and Black Lives Matter, and you're invited. It's $13 suggested. And you can register online, find more information at Seattle Punk Rock Aerobics on Facebook and radicalwellness.com.
Yeah. And are we pre-registering right now?
Yeah, I'm asking just to, I'm rolling out a new online registration platform, so,
Cool.
but do show up regardless if you want.
Awesome. Yay, I'm so excited that it's here.
I know, and traditionally we do it up in Highland Park at Highland Park Improvement Club. Hoping to restart that Thursday nights this spring. And then more classes coming, including an adult child class for rockers.
Yeah. Gosh, both my kids are going to want to attend that.
Yay. Thank you for asking.
Yeah. And then also I just wanted to give credit to Nadia, who is our sponsor with Grow. I don't know if you want to say anything about you or what you do. This is one of our masks. This is actually one of her masks. So, yeah. And she's our sponsor going forward. I couldn't have done this without her. She put together the flyer and really has helped me like organize my weekend. So
Yeah, I'm gonna do a math giveaway, I think, on our next class, kind of to help people want to participate and get here, and then also like a raffle for some of my items, but they're all the artwork is designed by me, and then I have a little Etsy shop, and it's Icaro, ICARO_yoga, if you want to check it out. But yeah, just here to help kind of assist in everything.
she's been amazing. Yeah. It's been really fun working with Nadia and Melanie, Melanie was off to the airport, but I also wanted to plug her because she has We Free Hearts, which is all of this like kid play stuff behind you. She took over ownership of South Park Hall last June, which was really great timing for like taking over a new event space when you can't have events forever. She has been amazing working with our South Park community and offering opportunities for kids and families to come in, and the space is a platform for all types of events. So she's going to be our beneficiary, specifically We Free Hearts next month, because it's their 2-year anniversary next month. So our February class will go to benefit specifically We Free Hearts and the programs that she's offered. She's trying to offer STEM programs for kids in the neighborhood and weekly playtime. She has offering childcare for parents who still needed to go to work in person, and she's just been amazing. She is amazing. So I wanted to plug her as well, both the space, and then she'll be our beneficiary next month.
Awesome.
So that's all I got, other than just like epic thank yous. So Robin, Adam, can you still hear me? Yay, okay. We can touch base about what the best way is if we want to do like an electronic donation, or I can bring a check by, or whatever works best for you.
Okay, sounds great.
Oh, hold on, I can't hear you. Just a sec. Oh, that's not gonna help if I mute. Let's see, can I hear you now?
Can you?
No.
I can just chat. It's okay. Here.
It's probably me because I had my AirPods in.
I mean,
Oh, I can hear you. It's just really quiet.
oh, you can. Now, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's really quiet, but I can.
Sorry, I just said it's great. We can figure out the payment whenever.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, maybe I'll email you guys and we can figure out what works best.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thank you. It was such a great turnout. It was such a nice way to come back and do this together. So
Yeah.
thank you.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.